not entertained.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Whiskey Jedi podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. Hope everyone is doing fantastic out there. I just realized in my intro that I did not promote the show anywhere. It's been a long day. I had been sitting in another broadcast room for about 5 minutes before I realized it was the wrong room. But yeah, I just realized that I didn't promote this anywhere. So I apologize for right up the gate. I'm going to quickly send out a link post just so some people can see that I am live in case they aren't getting notified. Hello, Stardew. I see that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. I hope everyone's doing good. I hope everyone's having a great night, has had a great weekend, great week since we've been together. Last week's show was awesome. Very thankful Brian was able to come on. We talked Captain America Brave New World. If you have seen it since we did the show, let me know your thoughts. I'm curious to know where you stand with the film. But tonight we're getting back to the regularly scheduled program. We're going to get into some stuff I've been watching, some of the more important news bits that have been going on, and then a weekly recommendation towards the end of the show. I will say last week I had a revelation as I was doing the stream. I think if you guys were watching, you noticed that my camera kind of went crazy a little bit. Just randomly kind of cut out. And I realized during the stream, I don't know if it's just the way that the settings are or like what's going on, but my computer camera is better than the camera that I have, that I spent $200 on, I would say. Probably, God, by now it's probably close to 6 to 8 years ago. So the camera is obviously dated, but it was a highly reviewed camera. It's one of Logitech's best. And for some reason, I just can't figure the damn thing out. And so right now, until I'm able to figure out what I'm doing with my lighting, what I'm doing with my setup as far as a camera goes, I'm going to be sticking with my computer camera, because just by looking at myself while I'm recording, it's 10 times better than what the Logitech Brio was giving me. I don't know if it's the Brio that I have, and again, I don't know if it's the settings that I have, but the quality is like night and day. It's night and day. So, the reason why I'm mentioning is because if I put my hands on the desk, everything starts to shake. So that is what's going on. Or if I like move around with my mouse or something, you'll see the camera shake because it is the desktop camera. And I don't have like a wooden sturdy desk. It's a retractable up and down desk, which is why it moves so much. So, yeah. So, yeah. All right. Before we get going, I did want to mention we got a new taster tonight. Very excited for this new taster. It was my birthday over the weekend, and one of my good buddies gifted me this bourbon. As most are, straight out of Kentucky, and it is called Frank August Small Batch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And honestly, right off the bat, I will say very curious about it because of the bottle design. This is what I think a lot of people don't look into when they buy alcohol in general, but definitely when it comes to something like whiskey. Bottle designs are very important in how you attract customers. I've mentioned multiple times the bottle design for Blanton's. I think it's one of the most brilliant bottle designs you can do. And there's a lot of good ones out there, but this one, it's very, very minimal. There's literally no major labeling and it just shows off the color of the whiskey, which to me tells me that they're extremely confident in the product that they have. That they don't have to worry about putting all this information on the bottle. So again, Frank August small batch, a very, very clean bottle design. It literally just has the logo right here. Not even the logo, it's just the text of the name. Like, it doesn't even look like a logo. It's just literally the name written on the bottom right here. And then on the back, it does have some small information. It's the bottle information regarding, like the proof and the alcohol level and where it's been bottled and everything. And then it has some government warning, etc. Very small lettering though. Like, not, it's extremely minimalistic. And that tells me that they are confident as hell. I will say I love the top. Obsessed with the top. It's gold metal and it's heavy. Like, I don't know. I'll tap it on the glass. But like it's like legit metal. And it's heavy. Like, it's a weight. I mean, you can hear it. Very, very cool bottle design. So right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And I had never heard of it before. I know, John, you mentioned it in the chat. Never seen it. It was a gift from a buddy over the weekend, and I'm very excited to have another bottle in the arsenal, obviously. But let's go ahead and give it a taste before we get going on our topics and see where I stand with the Frank August small batch. It's really hard to miss with the small batch, I will say that, for the majority of them, but you never know. Oh. That is different way more than I expected it to be. That is not what I expected from this at all. So I will say right off the bat, it has a very long aftertaste. Like, it kind of sits with you, which is a good thing. When it comes to whiskey, it's actually something that they like point out. Vanilla, oaks, smoky oak. I mean, very heavy on the vanilla. Definitely caramel, however you want to pronounce it. Those are like the big ones that are standing out to me. It's not that it's sweet, but there are strong hints of it, and it's very well balanced. Like, there's not a major bite. Like, it doesn't catch you off guard. And it's very smooth. I'm going to go back for it. Yeah, that's very smooth. Again, confident in what they have. So again, Frank August small batch bourbon out of Bardstown, I believe it said. Their own distillery out of Bardstown, Kentucky. Bardstown is a hotbed for bourbon and whiskey distilling, so no surprise there. But yeah, check it out if you get a chance. I don't know where he got it. I will say that it's not at my local stores, so more than likely it's something, at a Bevmo or a Total Wine or any kind of local bottle shop that you have. And I will say, just because I mentioned that, that's a goal of mine for the next one. Is I have 3 local bottle shops that I really want to visit, and I'm hoping when I get the next bottle that I'm going to taste, I really want to go visit there, and maybe I'll record it. But I follow one on Instagram and it looks awesome, and I would really love to go visit it. So, all right, let's get into it. First, to everybody who's popped in since I've been talking, Booze and Big G, thank you guys for being here. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Hope everyone else is doing great out there who's not commenting just yet. Let's get into some things I've been watching. And please leave a comment with TV shows, films that you guys have been checking out over the last week or two. I have not really done this for, I want to say, like a month or so. So please let me know anything that you guys have been checking out, things that you've been really liking that you've been watching. I'm going to start on the TV side because obviously I watch so much television. Just in the last week, we have had 2 shows premiere that I was really, really looking forward to, and it has lived up to it so far. But Reacher and 1923 both premiered over the weekend. We got 3 episodes of Reacher on Thursday. They did a 3-episode drop, and surprise, surprise, all 3 episodes were absolutely incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Alan Richardson is so perfect as that character, and this season feels different. Like, it feels so much more like there's a personal aspect to the show that makes it feel more intense and serious because of that personal connection, right? Reacher with Xavier Quinn, who we haven't really met yet, played by Brian T, which I love that Brian T's in this show. So Reacher is really one right now that I'm just like, yeah, so gung-ho about. 1923, it's a Yellowstone show. It is a prequel to Yellowstone and a sequel to 1883. It's the second season. Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, and then specifically Brandon Sklenar, who plays Spencer Dutton in the show. And I said it on my review this past week, but I think Spencer Dutton might be my favorite thing out of the entire Yellowstone universe. That character is so well done. And I think Brennan Sklenar plays the character so perfectly. I can't wait to see where his career goes, by the way. I did a video a number of months ago, but I'll say it here right now for the record. I think Brendan Sklenar was going to be our Batman. I think he's going to play the DCU version of Batman for James Gunn. Not just because I think he fits the role so well, but he has openly said how Batman is the only hero that he really connects with and wants to play. Alan Richardson has said the same thing, but Alan Richardson is older than Brennan Sklenar, and I think Brennan Sklenar's age alongside and look, I think Alan Richardson would be an awesome Batman. I've been saying his name for a very, very long time. But I do think Brennan Sklenar, as far as a universe goes, because he doesn't have anything major lined up like a Reacher for Alan Richardson, would very much fit it. So 1923 is off to a great start. Yellow Jackets is absolutely cuckoo bananas. John mentioned it in the chat. We're 3 episodes in. I don't know what's going on. I'm confused, and it's absolutely insanity with these girls. They are crazy. So absolutely crazy. The Wilderness and past episodes or storyline is way more interesting than the present storyline. The present storyline kind of needs to kick its butt into high gear. I'm really only tuning in at this point because of the stuff in the past. And I want the past to even up the ante even more. They need to start eating people and turning into tribes. Like, that's what we were promised in the synopsis of the show. And we've gotten tidbits of it and Easter eggs of it, but they need to go full gung-ho for it. So, but I'm going to continue watching. Because it's weird, it's wacky. I don't know what's happening. I'm confused. It's culty. It's very intriguing. So, Yellow Jacket season 3, that's on Showtime. If you have the edition on Prime Video, it's available on Prime Video. Spider-Man. I see Spider-Man. A lot of people mentioning Spider-Man in the chat. Let's talk Spider-Man for a little bit here. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man wrapped up last week. There were 10 episodes. And I will say this, when we do get the season 2, because it has been announced, they need to do a better job of releasing the episodes. I was so confused at how they were releasing these episodes. They were doing 2 episodes and then 3 episodes and then the 2 episodes. Just do consistency. Drop a consistent amount of episodes, and if you're going to drop that many episodes, make sure people know about it, because I was very far behind. I think I watched either 5 or 6 episodes over a 2-day period because I didn't realize how far behind I was. I didn't realize that it was already the end of season 1. But as far as the show goes, keeping that aside, I thought the action was great. I mean, look, it's an animated Spider-Man show. You have endless possibilities with an animated Spider-Man show. So the action was really, really good. The character work was probably the best for the show, like out of everything. It was phenomenal how they dealt with these characters. Peter was great, but he was kind of your classic Peter Parker. Not saying it's a bad thing, but we know what we're getting with Peter Parker. He's very much dealing with similar things Tom Holland's Peter Parker is dealing with, which makes sense because they are variants of each other. That's another thing that I really enjoyed about the show is how it took bits and pieces from the Prime timeline, but did its own play and twist on it, which I thought was very interesting, kind of a fun little spin. But yeah, outside of Peter, like Norman Osborn was great. Lonnie Lincoln was great. The origin for Tombstone was awesome. The relationship that they gave Lonnie and Peter, but then Lonnie and Spider-Man is going to be very interesting going down the road. And then all the villains, I mean, we saw so many random villains. We saw like Tarantula, and we saw Unicorn, and then we saw Doc Ock, and we saw Scorpion, obviously, right? Two of the bigger villains that play a huge part in the Spider-Man lore, specifically someone like Doc Ock. And I love how they intertwined not just the Octavius Osborn relationship, but they intertwined Octavius basically supporting the Spider-Man Rogue Gallery. Like, he's the reason the Rogue Gallery comes to exist. All of this tech that he starts creating, which is super interesting. So, and yeah, Andy, good point. Like, in the Tom Holland verse, we have Ned, who is his best friend, but in this universe, it's Nico. And Nico is obviously a very, very powerful character down the line. And part of the Runaways and like this whole thing. But the relationship they gave her with Peter was super interesting. And something I never expected. I didn't know that she was in this. Excuse me. I didn't know she was in the show until I saw episode 1. And like you said, very, very fun addition. Galactic Commanders, I will say, I want to bring your comment up. I love the show, but really don't love the animation, sadly. I'm kind of the opposite. I became very, very fond of the animation towards the end of the season. It may have taken me a few episodes, but once I realized that they were trying to basically make a motion comic book, I was 100% all in on it. Like, I was 100% all in on the idea of them bringing the comic book to life. Because it takes what Marvel and DC has been doing over years now, and it's a step above what we've seen with animation shows. And I also want to say is that Marvel needs to stick to the 2D animation style that they did with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and X-Men 97. They got to quit the what if animation. And I know that we are getting Marvel Zombies and stuff like that, but I think Eyes of Wakanda might be a 2D animation. They need to stick with that. It looks way, way better than what If has been doing. And I was okay with What If towards, or in season 1 and, even in season 2, but I kind of got tired of like the light flares and like just the aesthetic that animation gave off. Stick with this. Stick with X-Men 97, and you will never have an issue with your animation. You won't. I just love the vibe it gives. And Creature Commandos did the same thing. Creature Commandos was very, very similar, but in DC style. And that show was great. That animation was great. Don't start experimenting with stuff. And I know they've been experimenting for a while, which is fair. But I am okay with not reinventing the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, let it be. And I love that they did this with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man because it also separated itself from the previous Spider-Man shows, because we've had so many Spider-Man shows because he's such a great character to tell in animation. It completely separated itself from anything else we have been seeing. So big kudos for them to try it, and then for them to successfully do it and how well it was done. Like, absolutely bravo. I think Marvel animation is if they continue in this path, if we skip over what they did with What If, and we go from X-Men 97 to Spider-Man, and then whatever comes next, I think Marvel animation is in a really good spot. And I can't wait to see what season 2 brings. We already have a confirmation that Gwen Stacy is coming, and not only Gwen Stacy, but Spider-Gwen is going to be making an appearance with an all-new look, which looks great. And I can't wait to see the evolution that happens with Norman Osborn and Peter Parker. That's something I did want to mention before I move on. I cannot see anybody else but Coleman Domingo playing Norman Osborn. After he voiced him in this show, he is who I want to play Norman Osborn. He is just so, his voice works so perfect for that character. And it not only helps that he's an incredible actor, having him play Norman Osborn in the Prime timeline would be absolutely incredible. Like dream level type of castings. And I hope we get it. Like I would absolutely love to see him as Norman Osborn. Like I said, I can't picture anybody else as Norman Osborn because all I see is him because of this show. So, all right, couple questions, comments I wanted to bring up. Andy, yeah, I fucking love the animation. It took the first 2 episodes to get used to it, especially the character movement. Agreed, but after all, I was all in. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Sebastian, what's up, buddy? Thanks for being here. The animation and the music were both really good. Yeah, the music was another thing that I haven't brought up. Really, really well done. Especially when it comes to a Spider-Man show, you kind of have to stand out a lot. I thought they did a really good job of bringing in like some old school stuff, but also creating a lot of new ideas in there. Galactic Commanders, I think the X-Men animation looks incredible. Agreed. What If just got rough in this last season? Yup. Booze, the comic book compositions were fun. Agreed. Big G, I hope they would do the X-Men 97 to the... I hope they would do the X-Men 97, what did the Spider-Man... Well, you want that animation style in X-Men 97? That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I know they're already sticking with what they're doing, but it would be super interesting to see the X-Men show in that. There is going to be another X-Men show that it was announced this last week. I'm not covering it tonight, but they did announce another animation X-Men show that they're going to be doing. So possibly, very, very possibly. Galactic Commanders. Honestly, just go back to the cartoon animation from the early 2000s era, like Teen Titans. Well, that's what X-Men 97 did. It's the same exact animation. It's just in 4K with better colors. Essentially what it is. I wish they would do what they did with the X-Men 97 to Spider-Man. Yeah. Oh, I think I just did that one. Make a continuation of the 90s Spider-Man show. I see what you're saying, Big G. I mean, never say never. It's the multiverse. Stardew, who was the assistant to Daredevil? Her name was what was her name? I'm looking it up. Hold on. I forgot her name. She's a pretty unknown character. Shyster. Someone in the chat's gonna leave it for me. No, it's from this show, the woman, the spy that Matt Murdock had in Oscorp that we saw at the very end. I don't know. It's like it starts with I think it starts with a K. What is the name? This is what I'm typing into Google, guys. Daredevil friend in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Yeah, so her name was Janine. I think the character's name starts with a K. It's really, really gonna bother me. Finesse. It's with an F. Her character name is Finesse, and where did that just go? Finesse, her name is Janine Falcotte. And yes, Andy, you are correct. She's the daughter of Taskmaster. That's who she is. She's the daughter of Taskmaster, and her hero name or her alter ego is known as Finesse, and she's extremely smart. Like really, really, really smart, and she's working with Daredevil, and her story kind of does intertwine with both of them in the comic books. She was introduced in the 2010s, so she's a very recent hero, actually. But yeah, she's the daughter of Taskmaster, which is super cool. Galactic Commanders, off topic, but do you think you will record movie show reactions again? Those were great. So I don't know how much we're going to be getting into this, but I really want to. It really just all depends on time. If are you talking about literally sitting down and watching it? Because I have thought about doing that. I know that Gabby and I have talked about doing movies that she's never seen, which is kind of what I'm more interested in, especially because she's never gone through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we've gone through a number of movies in the MCU, and we would have an enormous amount of things to play with, obviously. But I have been throwing around ideas, so never say never. But as of right this second, nothing has become official. But yeah, if you guys have anything you want me to talk about or watch or anything, let me know, because I would be interested in doing so. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. I know there's a lot of other things that I've been watching, guys. We talked a lot about TV. I'm just going to quickly run off some films I've been watching. So I did watch Sonic 3 over the weekend. Awesome. Really, really, really well done. Honestly, Sonic is the best video game adaptation of all time. Like, no question at this point. The trilogy is pretty much perfect. Like, pretty much perfect. So yeah, I watched Sonic 3. I watched Venom: The Last Dance, which I think I might have mentioned on here. And I watched a film from last year that I've really been interested in watching, and I finally got a chance to do it, Woman of the Hour, which is the Anna Kendrick film on Netflix about the serial killer who went on a dating game in the 70s, ended up winning the dating game, and then got caught later on. And I thought it was very well done. I thought for her first directorial outing, I thought Anna Kendrick did a really, really good job. So yeah, I saw Woman of the Hour finally, which is a 2023 film. God, 2 years ago already. Jesus. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic of the evening. We got some massive, massive, massive news this last week regarding the James Bond property. Something that I never, ever expected to see happen. The owners of the James Bond franchise, and I'll pull their names up in a second. I forget their names. But Amazon MGM Studio is officially the owners of the James Bond property. They have full creative control over 007, which, for those of you who may not like pay attention to the James Bond franchise or be super into it like I am, this is pretty big. I liken this a lot to something like the Lord of the Rings franchise, where Tolkien's estate is very, tight grip on a lot of things that has to do with Lord of the Rings. It was very similar, right? There was a family that had owned the James Bond property, and there were two people who had been basically looking over the franchise for decades now, and nothing gets done without their approval. That is not the case anymore. I know and the biggest name out of those two was Barbara Broccoli. She is one of the co-owners, and they will remain co-owners, but creative control has been handed over to Amazon MGM Studios. So a studio officially owns the James Bond franchise, which I didn't think I would ever see today, if I'm being honest. And it leaves me in a very indifferent situation. On one hand, Amazon doesn't have to go through the hurdles of getting approval and timelines and stuff like that. But that's where things can go very, very sour very quickly. We've had all this talk over the last year about who could play the next James Bond, or there's been rumors about people like Aaron Taylor Johnson and Theo James and Taron Egerton and all these people being rumored for the James Bond franchise. And not too long ago, Barbara Broccoli and her colleague had come out and basically said, we hear you. We're doing our part, but we're not rushing anything. Now that a studio is involved, that will more than likely begin to be rushed. And I give Amazon a lot of credit on the television side because of their product. I think their product stands with the best. Reacher and Jack Ryan and so many other incredible shows that are on Prime Video. But they haven't really made a film like James Bond under their movie production. And that scares me. And, I'm not going to say like it's a deal breaker and that there's never going to be another good James Bond movie ever, because a studio doesn't play that big of a part 99% of the time in a film being good. It is left up to screenplay writers, it is left up to directors, performers, etc. So yes, Amazon is the one backing everything, but it all depends on who they get involved. And we've thought up until this point that James Bond was pretty far off. We had No Time to Die in 2021, which is crazy to think about, but is 4 years ago already. I want to say in October is when No Time to Die came out. So come October this year, it'll be 4 years since that film came out. And to many people, 4 years is like, oh, that's a long time. But I don't need a James Bond film every 2 years. I don't need a James Bond film every 5 years. Now, it's different if you're having the same actor play the character, of course. Like Daniel Craig, right? He did 2000 he did 06, he did 08, he did 12, he did either 15 or 16, I want to say, and then he did 2021. So he played the character for 15 years or so, 15, 16 years with filming and everything, which makes sense. I just hope that Amazon doesn't rush. I really hope that Amazon just does not rush into everything. And I'm trying to stay optimistic, but I'm trying to essentially push down all my thoughts of Amazon not rushing it, but I know for a fact they're probably doing stuff right now for it. And they're going to screen test actors, and they're going to hire someone to play James Bond, and they're going to go into production at the end of this year or early next year for a 2027 release date is probably what I'm guessing now that Amazon has its hands on it. And it would be 6 years since the final James Bond film from Daniel Craig. As far as a standpoint for films goes, sure. For a studio, I should say, sure. Because you have to make money, especially off a big property like that. Just please don't ruin it. Just please do not ruin it. They're coming off of a very, very well done franchise. Sorry, guys, I'm a little tired today, if you can't tell. It's been a long, long day or two. They're coming off of not just a really, really well done film in No Time to Die, but a really good run by Daniel Craig. I don't care what any of you have to say about Quantum of Solace. It's the least of the 5, yes, but it is not a bad James Bond movie. Is it the 5th of Daniel Craig's? Yes, absolutely. And it's probably a few feet under those other 4 films. But it is not a bad James Bond movie. There are far worse. So coming off of those, like, you kind of have to do something special. I just don't want him to rush it. It's February of a new year. I have no doubt in my mind that by the end of summer, we will have someone playing James Bond, and that we will have a director with a script, and that they will either be going into production late this year or early next year. So that feels rushed because the most recent one was only 4 years ago, but by the time it comes out, it's 6 years. It still feels too early. I was really hoping for like a 10-year break, if I'm being honest, because I don't need it. Like, I don't want it to be oversaturated, where we're constantly getting a movie in the franchise like over and over and over again. We've seen that with a lot of franchises, and it never works. It just never. I mean, the biggest one to stand out is Fast and the Furious. Ever since they have done Fast and Furious 4, they've just been on a rampage. Like, what year did that movie come out? Let's see. I want to say it came out in like 2011. It's not going to tell me the year. 2009. Okay. So Fast and Furious, which was the return of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel together, was 2009. We are currently in 2025. So let me do my math right, guys. In 14 years, we have gotten 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In 14 years, we've gotten 6 Fast and the Furious films. That's so unnecessary. It's one thing if it's like Mission Impossible where the films are actually good. You're keeping the interest of everybody. But I don't need it to be oversaturated, especially when you're rotating into a new James Bond with new stories. Let Daniel Craig's version breathe. Let him literally go off into the sunset and be happy. 7, thank you, Big G, with Hobbs and Shaw. 7 Fast and the Furious films in 14 years. So they've averaged every 2 years. That's crazy. I don't need it. So yes, Amazon, if you ever find this, if you're ever watching this, please take your time. Do not ruin James Bond. Find the right person. Find the right creators. We do not need it tomorrow. I'm not thinking about a new James Bond right now because I'm still wondering what the hell's going on with Ethan Hunt and if we're going to see him past July. So please take your time. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. I'm going to get some more whiskey, take a breather, catch my breath before we dive into Andor, which I could not be more excited to talk about. I'm going to bring in a couple comments here in a second, too. Galactic Commanders. I think it would be great. The MCU Watch reaction would help your channel a lot. Thank you. It's been helping Christian Harloff's channel. I've seen Harloff's pop up and down. I think Harloff has always had a following. It's probably helped a little bit more than it would have. But yes, Gabby and I have talked about doing the rewatches. And I'll be 100% point blank honest with you guys. There are 2 factors in this. Timing is everything because of our lives as new parents. We have our 1-year-old Bo is an absolute nutball right now. His energy level is way up here. So timing is everything. 2, an editor. Am I going to be able to do it myself or am I going to have to hire someone? That's the key. And I know I can do it myself, but it's all based on time because I have edited them before, but it does take a long time to edit a 2.5 hour film that you're reacting to and cut all that to pieces. So if you guys know anybody that is an editor that would be interested and isn't super pricey, please let me know. because I would absolutely love to get back to it. And speaking on that, I just brought up to Gabby today, the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith is happening at the end of April. It'll be back in theaters. It'll be back in theaters for 1 week. And I never got a chance to see any of the prequels in a theater. At least I don't remember. I was a kid. 2005, I was 13 years old. So maybe I might have, but I don't have any crazy memories of it. I told her that I would absolutely love for her to come with me, which we did a Phantom Menace reaction on the channel. I believe it's still on the channel, but we have yet to do episode 2 and episode 3. So if everything works out, you guys could end up seeing an Attack of the Clones reaction before we go see Revenge of the Sith in theaters for the first time ever. So stay tuned on that. Andy, yeah, no, he's not full of energy. He's an absolute slum ball. Optimism Prime. What's up, Jesse? Are you going to be watching Starfire when it comes out? Sounds like Lisa Frank painting come to life. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'll check it out. If it's, I mean, look, they're starting off. They started off great with Creature Commandos, so DC Animation's in a very good spot. I'd be lying if I said I'm not more interested in the Green Lantern show, but it also all depends on what it looks like. I'll check it out based on what I see from it, and we're still a little bit ways off. I think the Starfire character is very, very rich and hasn't been touched on as much as she should be. And leave it to James Gunn to tell a story on a character he believes should be told more. So, and I love that the Green Lantern show is going to be focused on Jessica Cruz. So, going to be really, really cool. Jesse, my Phantom Menace is actually my first theatrical memory. Good for you, man. That's a long time ago. I was only 7 years old when that came out, so there's no way I have memory of that. I could have seen it, but I highly doubt I saw that in the theater. Sebastian, super excited for the Revenge of the Sith re-release. Sith was the first Star Wars movie that I got to watch in the theater, so it will be full circle. Yeah. I'm actually going to ask my parents on if they remember taking me, and I wouldn't be surprised if my dad took me, especially as a 13-year-old kid. It's just a really cool full circle moment for us prequel babies to have these movies back in theaters and be able to experience them again when we were so young watching them for the first time. And I hope Gabby's able to join me, or that she wants to join me, because I think it'd be a really cool experience because she's never seen it. She's never seen Revenge of the Sith. And for her to be able to experience that story on the big screen would be wild. So, crossing fingers. Curtis, Sith was the 4th or 5th I saw in the theaters. Damn! Well, I'm sure you saw the special. I think the special editions were released in theaters, if I'm not mistaken. Back in the late 90s, they had to have been. Because it was basically it was like a, quote, whole new movie with the added scenes and everything. So, or at least I think that's where you're headed. Let me know. All right, let's move on to kind of our co-main topic of the evening. We got a first trailer for Andor Season 2, which is going to be coming out April 22nd. And so, a couple more comments before we get going. Reefism, what's up, man? First Star Wars movie I saw in the theater was Force Awakens. Wow, that's awesome. Are you going to go back and see Revenge of the Sith when it comes out? I'm curious. John Pierce, Jurassic Park was the first one I remember seeing in theaters. That's a great movie to see in the movie theater. But yeah, look, Andor Season 2. First trailer dropped yesterday. And we got some extremely interesting news with it as well. But I do want to pick a bone with both Lucasfilm and Disney for a second. So Andor is going to be premiering. 3 episodes are going to be premiering on April 22nd. And I believe I have that date right. So please correct me if I'm wrong, please. And I think it's a Tuesday. April 22nd. 3 episodes of Andor. The same day is the Daredevil Born Again finale. You guys see an issue there? There's a pretty big issue there. Why in the fucking world, excuse my language, why in the world would a studio put competing properties as big as those are up against each other? And I'm pretty sure I'm right in this, is that they are both airing on the same day. I saw it on Twitter, a very trusted source. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But Andor, 3 episodes, so 3 hours of Andor television are going to be dropping the same exact day that your finale, your grand finale for the first season of Daredevil Born Again is coming out. How does that make sense? How? And I'm pretty sure it lines up correctly because Daredevil is next Tuesday, which is on the 4th. And a 22nd is a Tuesday. And it's not like they're going to move one back or forward just to separate themselves. You legitimately couldn't move it 1 week. Couldn't move it 1 week. Like, you can't have it on April 29th instead of the 22nd. Like, why? That it makes no sense. And Andy, thank you for the point. I forgot that they did that, and I had a gripe back then. They did the same thing with Miss Marvel and Obi-Wan. The only difference is that was literally only 2 episodes. This is 4 total episodes of television. 4! And you're expecting people to watch it and talk about it? How is that fair to us? How is... Oh, you're fine. Yeah, he wanted to come visit. Take him with you, though. Yeah, take him with you. Oh, no, he'll stay. He can stay. He can stay. I don't want him jumping on the bed. So, sorry, Kyla came in and visited him. He's going to stay in here. Look, I know that all of us are going to consume it because we're nutballs and we're excited for it all. But I'm talking about the average. And actually, you know what? I'm not even talking about the average fan base. I'm talking about the conversation, because people like us who love discussing and theorizing and talking about things and giving things the opportunity to breathe and allow the time spent on each property, the right time spent on each property, no matter how good it is, I'm sorry, but no matter how good it is, the Daredevil Born Again finale is going to be cheap-shotted and overtaken by 3 episodes of Andor. No question. It could be the most incredible season of television of all time. But because of season 1 of Andor and how well it was received, and because of where Star Wars is currently at, and because they're taking the time to drop 3 episodes, there is no chance Daredevil has the opportunity to be talked about all week long, or for at least a day or 2. So yeah, it's a little frustrating as someone who consumes everything. And I love it. I love that we're getting all this content, but why the hell couldn't you move 1 week? 1. Like what? Like 1 week, or move a week forward. I don't know, like, or move a different day. Like, remember when Star Wars used to be on Wednesdays and not Tuesdays? What happened to that? Why can't Marvel be on Tuesdays, Star Wars be on Wednesdays? Like, it just makes more sense that we run the company, you guys. Everyone at Disney's are fucking morons. They're idiots. Apologies. I apologize for my language tonight. It's just, I'm looking forward to both so much. And I want to watch them both as soon as they're available. But I can't when that day comes. And I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be giving Daredevil its justice. I'm going to be allowing the finale to be talked about, and I want to watch that first and consume that first. But then Andor is going to be sitting there looking at me, wanting to be watched. So yeah, it's a little frustrating. All right, a couple comments here. Stardew, Daredevil is not Wednesday. Daredevil is dropping on Tuesdays. The premiere is on March 4th. And unless they're premiering it on a Tuesday and moving it to Wednesdays, which I don't think they are. Let me just look real quick. Let's see. So the first 6 episodes. So March 11th. What is March 11th? Yeah, it's a Tuesday. Daredevil's on Tuesdays. So Daredevil Born Again will be dropping next Tuesday, March 4th. And then every week after that, we're getting 2 episodes next Tuesday, the 2 that were at the premiere that everybody saw yesterday. So we'll be seeing the first 2 episodes of Born Again next Tuesday, and then 1 per week after that, with the final episode airing on April 22nd. I know a couple of you have been saying March 5th. No, it's March 4th. So it's Tuesday, March 4th is when the Daredevil premiere airs. And Reefism, all Disney Plus shows, so Star Wars and Marvel, except for animation, because animation has been iffy on how much they've done. But like What If was dropped at once, but Spider-Man was kind of weekly in a way. All live action projects for Disney Plus are weekly, and that includes things like Percy Jackson and everything else they do. They have been consistently doing a 2-episode drop for the premiere for the first episodes, and then they go to weekly basis. And then like in the case of Andor, like let's talk about that. That's kind of the topic I wanted to talk about. They announced yesterday is that Andor is only going to run for a month. They're dropping 3 episodes at once each week. Yeah, Andy gets the 5th. Whatever. He knows by now. Yeah, so Andor is going to be dropping the first 3 episodes. Then the second week will be 3 episodes. The third week will be 3 episodes. And the fourth week will be 3 episodes. So Andor is only going to be running for 4 weeks, but it's going to be 12 total episodes. So we're essentially getting 4 movies, right? 3 episodes equals to like 2.5 in a way. And then you add the time on top of that. So we're getting 4 different movies of Andor over a month timeline, which is awesome. Like that's really cool. But at the same time, it's a lot. And I was really looking forward to having Andor for 3 months over 10 to 12 weeks time and being able to discuss it. But there is a reason why they are doing this. So if you have not heard by now, and the reason behind them doing this is that season 2 spans over 4 years of Cassian's life. It is the 4 years leading up to the moment we met him in Rogue One. And those 3 episodes, so episode 1 through 3, is a full year of his life. Episodes 4 through 6 is the second year, and so on. So these 3-episode chunks, look at them as 3-episode arcs. We're going to see a 3-episode arc of what's happening, and then we're going to jump forward in time to the next story arc that's happening the second year, the third year, the fourth year. And I have no doubt in my mind that the ending of the show will end with the moment we met him in Rogue One. On oh god, what's that? That's the name. The Ring. You guys will put it in the chat. But yeah, that moment we met him in Rogue One, the first time we saw him, I do think the show will end with that moment, or at least him traveling there. So it's literally going to be a direct prequel lead-in to Rogue One. So in a way, kind of cool. it's very different and unique how they're telling the story, and I'm really looking forward to it because of how good season 1 was. And I mean, look, they know what they're doing. Ring of Caffeine, Caffeine. I think that's what that's it's called. I could be wrong. They get this character. They understand this character. They know what they're doing. If it's anything like or continuing season 1, season 2 is going to be incredible. All of our major players are back with the addition of Ben Mendelsohn's Krennic, which is awesome. Yeah, I have no doubt season 2 is going to be incredible. And I will say this though, with the trailer, I was very, very thrown off by the music. I will say it was a very odd choice. Some of you may have liked it, which is totally fine. But for me, for my Star Wars projects, it just doesn't fit. Like it felt very off, especially for Andor. Out of all of the shows, especially for Andor, it was just a little weird. The footage looked great. Cassian looked great. Bix looked great. Mon Mothma was, twerking out. Saw's back, right? The whole crew's there. But the music was a little weird. Let me know if you feel the same way. As far as Andor goes, I would absolutely love to do some type of review show, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm still trying to work out the Daredevil stuff, and I will say this, I'm not going to confirm anything, but the Daredevil stuff is looking promising for next week. So stay tuned on that. I would love to find a way to do some type of show where I'm able to talk about it. But as always, you guys can find my thoughts on my social media. When it comes to Andor, I'm probably gonna try my best to do videos per episode, but it might become a little bit much for me. I have 2 months to think about it, obviously, but I'm trying to prepare everything and kind of be a little organized for things. And so either way, you're going to see my thoughts on social media. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it here. I'll give my quick thoughts on maybe on Tuesday nights. And that's something I did want to mention as far as the Daredevil show goes. I know I had mentioned a couple weeks ago how I might push the show so I can watch the episode. I'm going to stick doing the show. Just stick with it. And then I'm going to watch the episode after I'm done with the show. I don't really put my thoughts out there too much on social media anymore anyways. My whole drive for everything is to do stuff like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube videos. And so I'll watch the show after the live show. I'll do my review. And then I'm looking to do Wednesday evenings for a Daredevil review show, but we shall see. I will keep you guys updated on whether or not that's going to happen. Booze felt the same way. I'm glad I'm not alone. Andy, the Steve Earle song was a perfect choice for a trailer. That honestly doesn't surprise me with you, Andy, at all. You're a music guy anyway. You definitely, it definitely hits you a little bit different than it does me. Booze, it was cool regardless. Sebastian, I felt the same way about the music. It took me out of the first time I watched it, although upon repeat viewings, the music did fit with the show. That's fair. I might have to go check it out. I watched it once and I was calling it quits after that because I've tried to stay away from trailers, obviously. But maybe I'll give it another view just to kind of let it sink in a little bit more. But at the moment, that's where it's standing. Doesn't like hinder my excitement whatsoever for this show. I am gonna lose my mind for Andor. I said it when the show was out. We were doing a review for it on Apocalypse. It is no doubt Lucasfilm's best Star Wars show. I have no hesitation saying that. It's not my favorite because I am biased in my love for Ahsoka and everything that took place on that show. But I am not afraid to say that Andor is without a doubt the overall best Star Wars show Lucasfilm has. Performances, character work, writing, storytelling, just the whole thing. It's pretty much perfect, honestly. There's a few things here and there, but it's pretty much perfect. And I have a feeling that season 2 is probably going to either be on par or steps above, which is crazy to think about. Crazy to think about. Oh, I can't wait. more Star Wars, man. Like, we're finally getting back to having Star Wars, and I'm just so excited. Like, I'm just so excited. And that's why I'm so bummed that it's not over like 10 weeks and that's only going to be a month, because it's going to be over by the end of May, which feels so quick. But I'll find another way to get some more Star Wars in my life. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Andor. So let's go ahead and move on to the final topic. Final point of the evening before I call it a quit here tonight. Let's do my weekly streaming recommendation. I had a little bit of a hard time coming up with one this week, if I'm being honest, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to recommend this. But when I sat down and I thought about it, I don't want to just recommend the absolutely incredibly awesome, perfect things to you guys. Because more than likely you've already seen them. And there's a good chance the 7 of you watching right now have probably already seen this. But if you haven't, I'm going to be recommending the new Apple TV Plus original film, The Gorge. It is a Scott Derrickson film that stars Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. It's very, very interesting. It's not perfect by any means, but it is a extremely interesting concept that has some really good execution and some really good like bones that just didn't fully come together. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. That equals about a 7 out of 10 if you're giving it a 10-point scale. So I was still very much entertained by the movie. There's just a few things here and there that lost me as I was starting to figure out the mystery behind everything. So I'm not going to spoil anything in case you haven't seen it. But basically what happens is Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. Teller plays a former Marine, or maybe he's Army. One or the other. But he's an extremely good sniper. Like he's an ex-sniper. And he does contract work. So he's hired by a third party to come in and do this job for a year. It's a year job. And on the flip side, Anya Taylor-Joy is essentially a hit woman who works for... It's never really... I don't think it's ever confirmed whether it's the Russians or... I forget the actual country that she is from. Either way, she's basically an assassin. She is hired after a job that she does that kind of went wrong. She is hired for this job for a year again. And they are required to, or they are basically set up in their own watchtowers above a gorge. We have the West Tower, which is Miles Teller. We have the East Tower, which is Anya Taylor-Joy. We come to find out that the West Tower relates to the Western nations, and the East Tower relates to the Eastern nations. And that back in the 1940s, around World War II, this gorge was discovered. And the countries came together, U.S., Russia, England, all of these countries came together to protect the gorge, not from what goes in, but from what comes out. And it's very mysterious. It has a very thriller horror vibe to it. It has a little bit of a monster aspect to it as well. And the mystery starts to unravel as the story progresses, obviously. These two characters are told they're not allowed to communicate with their counterparts. But of course, being that the film that we are in, the story that we are following, and the characters that we are looking at, they, of course, come into contact, create a relationship, and then things escalate from there. Honestly, like, I didn't go in wanting to pick apart the film, and I think that's why I walked away entertained by it. Scott Derrickson, he's known for things like Sinister, The Black Phone, and he obviously did Doctor Strange for the MCU. All have a very heavy horror element to it. He brings that to this, but it's full of action. It's full of sci-fi. It has that thriller aspect. And I mentioned, but it has a little bit of that monster flair. And I thought he did a pretty decent job. He didn't write it. I'm sure he tinkered with the script, but he just came in to direct it. And I walked away entertained. I didn't go in expecting it to be the greatest thing of all time. And if you do, you're not going to be satisfied with what you're watching. If you just want a nice, cool, fun movie for, a weeknight or back on a weekend with some friends or something, throw on The Gorge and Apple TV Plus. It has a really cool mystery that is connected to things like Oppenheimer and other things that we see throughout history in our actual history, which is pretty cool. So yeah, The Gorge, Apple TV Plus. It's this week's recommendation. I realized I hadn't done a movie in a little bit. I've been doing television series. So please let me know if you guys check it out. You guys can DM me, leave a comment on this video. Obviously, I'm anywhere. Just let me know if you guys check out The Gorge. I would love to hear your thoughts on it and your pickup arts on it. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to call it tonight. I've been talking quite a while, so I'm starting to feel my voice give away a little bit. It's getting a little bit drier as I'm talking more and more. But yeah, look, I appreciate you guys being here each and every week. I know I say it all the time, but it's always fun doing this. I'm really, really proud of myself for keeping up on the weekly basis. It's been a lot of fun to look forward to this and come up with the thumbnails and the graphics and the show topics. So as always, if you guys have things you want me to discuss, please leave a comment, shoot me a DM. They are always open. I appreciate you guys. Have fun. Have in watching whatever you may be watching. Enjoy your time, and make sure you go check out Frank August's small batch bourbon. Very, very well done. I didn't drink a second glass like I was expecting that because I was kind of in the flow of talking, but very, very well done whiskey that I will definitely have back on the show. So thank you guys again for watching. Have a great Tuesday night, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye, guys.